Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love talking about Special Olympics Tennessee. We're honored to be joined by Justin Bradford, Director of Marketing and Communications with Special Olympics Tennessee. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. The weather's getting beautiful out there, Jeremy, so thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You all do tremendous good. So let's start with a little bit of history and context for Special Olympics and Special Olympics Tennessee. Give us some background.
Sure. So Special Olympics was started many decades ago by Maria Shriver. We saw so much history there, just a need for activities for people with intellectual disabilities. And to think that many decades ago, this was started with the first big games in Chicago, and then now to where it's worldwide. It's a worldwide movement where we have a Special Olympics International with multiple countries having their games. We have a national program with North America, and then states have their own program like here in Tennessee. So it's something that the movement has continued to grow forcefully for inclusion, of including people with intellectual disabilities in sports, in the community, in the workplace, in so many other ways, but also partnering with the communities as well too, to make sure that there's things offered for people to volunteer for things like Unified Partners, which I'm sure we'll touch on later as well too. But there's just so much growth in the community that we see people with intellectual disabilities now being fully embraced in our culture, in our community, and in our sports. And that's something that has been so awesome to see, that we have competitions that take place. For instance, this summer in Berlin is our World Games, and we have 2 representatives from the state of Tennessee going to compete in Berlin as part of Special Olympics USA. So that is the epitome of being able to compete at a top level, one in swimming and one in golf, to have 2 athletes from Tennessee going to compete in our World Games. And so it's just been awesome to see this growth happen and see the community fully embrace our athletes.
Absolutely. That's awesome news for sure. Talk about how it works in terms of the structure, especially being statewide. So go ahead and dive into how it works.
Well, Special Olympics Tennessee, just like all Special Olympics programs, are completely volunteer-led. I mean, we have our state office, which has an administration staff like me, but the local programs are run by volunteers. And that's what's so important for us, is that we have people that are passionate about serving their community, about serving athletes in their community. And so all of our area directors are volunteers. And so we have over 30 areas within the state of Tennessee. And the way it's structured is sometimes it might be one county like Nashville because it's so big, or Williamson County because it has plenty of people, or you'll have a group of counties, maybe in East Tennessee or some of our rural communities, where they all get together as one area as well. And they have a volunteer area director that manages the athletes, knows them on a personal level, meets with families, organizes all these games, and sometimes they even have their own volunteer staff that helps manage their social media and organization and volunteers as well. So you see the structure where it starts with our volunteers. It starts with the community. And that's what's so impressive to me, is that our volunteers are the people that make this happen. Yeah, our staff, we do an amazing job, but our athletes on a week-to-week basis, they're fully in touch with our volunteer area directors. And so the work that they put in on a local level makes it to where we can achieve a lot more at the state level, because they'll have their local area games, and then our regional managers, which are state-based for East, Middle, and West, because naturally with Tennessee, they go and have their regional competitions and they work up to their state competitions. And so that's what's so awesome, is you see this just like any other, say, high school sport is managed as well. You have your local, you have your regional, you have your state. We do the exact same thing, and our athletes get better and better. They compete to get better and better. They not only compete against each other, they compete for personal bests for those individual sports as well too. So it's volunteers. That's what it comes down to. We're the volunteer state, and we are completely volunteer based, and they're the ones that make the ship run.
So talk about the sports, and there's obviously practices. And as you mentioned, I agree. Like, one of the cool elements is that it's volunteer led and run. Talk about the sports and the practices and kind of how that side of it flows.
Sure. So right now we offer 17 different sports in the state of Tennessee, and there's even more depending on where you are in the country. I mean, some states offer surfing, be a little difficult for us to offer that here, but what's so amazing is seeing the different types of team sports and individual sports we have here. Things like powerlifting, which that's the one that strikes me as the most impressive, just to see what our athletes accomplish just in a deadlift or a squat. Then we have things like basketball, 3-on-3 and full 5-on-5 basketball, unified volleyball, bocce, track and field, swimming. And that's what's so awesome too, is we have sports for every level. of athlete, what they're physically able to perform. So bocce is one of the most inclusive sports that there is. We're able to host so many different athletes as one of our biggest sports, especially during our summer games. And then we'll have other sports during our winter games, which, yes, we have them in Tennessee, where we're at Mower Mountain over in Gatlinburg, and we have athletes that are snowboarding and skiing and speed skating. And people would never expect that as well too. And that's what's so amazing to me, is that we have snowboarders where they're cutting loose and they are fully in the snowboarding lingo and everything. And I'm just amazed, because one, I could never do that. And two, what they're able to accomplish, where maybe they only get 2 or 3 practice runs and then they're able to go and compete in a time trial. That's what's amazing to me. And so all these different sports have different practice schedules. Those area directors that are volunteers set all of those up as well too. Sometimes teams get multiple practices and they compete really well. Some don't get as many just because it might be rural and maybe they only have 1 or 2 opportunities to practice. But there's so many different sports. Bowling's another one, which is always fun to see our state competition with that. And so you have a full lane, chock full of bowlers as well. But the team sports as well, it's cool to see. For instance, we just had our state basketball tournament last month, and there's a team out of Williamson County that features at least one guy who can throw some dirty dunks out there as well too. And so it's like when we want to see, like, this is the epitome of what Special Olympics is too. It's like they're included, they're capable of doing absolutely anything that any other athlete can do, and then show the dunk. Full of reverse dunk. So yeah, multiple types of sports, all different types of inclusive sports as well too, varying all different spectrums of team sports, individual partner sports as well too. And we're always wanting to introduce new ones as well. So we'll be introducing and testing out pickleball soon as well, which is another more inclusive sport, because it's a little bit maybe easier than tennis as well, and more people can play that, as we just see how the popularity has gained with pickleball. And we're always looking to include and invent new sports as well too, to come into the program. So that's something that we're always doing, is evolving to see what our athletes want and what they want to compete in.
Tie that into unified sports, because you mentioned unified sports, and I think that's a really cool thing as well, in terms of kind of blending the opportunity, and in this case, volleyball.
Absolutely. Unified sports is a movement that is growing so much and so quickly right now. And what unified sports is you're taking individuals with intellectual disabilities and partnering them with people that do not have intellectual disabilities for a fully unified experience, hence the unified sports. And so we have unified volleyball, we have unified basketball, we'll have unified golf, bowling, track and field. We have a partnership with Nashville SC for a unified soccer team, where these athletes, they tried out for it, they get coached up, and they'll play other unified teams from other cities. And so it's partnership with the MLS, to where Nashville SC unified team will be playing Chicago Fire unified and New England Revolution unified. So we're looking for some trash talk to happen there in a full competition mode, where this isn't a friendly, this is a competition. But what's awesome to see here, and what we truly encourage with our unified partners, is this is not about hand the ball over and make it towards like, hey, go make a basket. This is full inclusive sports. Everybody wants to play the sport. You train hard for it. You're playing the sport. It's not meant to be easy. Block the shot, block the kick, do whatever you can. And a team sport like that is make it the sport. That's what it's about as well too. And it's great leadership opportunities for both those with and without ID. And it's just great opportunities to be part of the community as well. And then on the other side, for partner sports like bowling or for golf, it's a great way as well to work as a team, a smaller team, but also you're working with encouragement and you're building a good relationship as well. For instance, in the unified golf coming up in Berlin with our golfer there, his partner is actually one of our board members who's going to be his caddy to help him out too. So it's really good to see the aspect as well as getting the community fully involved. And this really is a major push in schools with our Unified Champion Schools program, is signing on lots of schools here with high school sports and offering these sports and an encouraging atmosphere as well. Because I know just back when I was in high school 20 years ago, this didn't exist. It was still a separate wing of the school that a lot of people with intellectual disabilities were forced into. And now I'm seeing so many inclusive environments, and it's so amazing to see, so much that Harpeth High School over in Kingston Springs in Cheatham County, they were just named a national banner school by Special Olympics for being fully inclusive and having so many inclusive sports. And they kicked that off with a game between the unified team and the varsity basketball team. And it's so awesome for the whole school to come in and to see that and to see the fully unified aspect of having our athletes be part of the community fully. And that's what unified sports is all about.
What's been the feedback, especially from the parents, for this opportunity? Because You're building confidence, you're building leadership, just like you alluded to. You're breaking down a lot of stereotypes and creating powerful opportunities to galvanize the community, empathy, respect, like all of that. But I also think, for the athletes and the students, that's one component of bringing everyone together, but also for the parents to see their children have these sort of opportunities. What's been that feedback?
There's a great story my CEO told me from soccer practice the other week, is that we have a young woman who is on a unified soccer team and is being pushed really hard in practice. And she has 3 brothers, and the parents are there watching, and it's raining outside. It's chilly. This was a couple weeks ago and it wasn't that warm out, and they're having soccer practice in the late afternoon, early evening. And the parents are just glowing seeing their daughter, who out of their 4 is the one with an intellectual disability, and she's loving it. And they're saying that they witness the older brothers all the time practicing for their varsity sports, and this is what she's always wanted, is to be pushed, to be included, to feel like an athlete just like her brothers. And for the parents, it means everything, because it means it's full inclusion. It means their daughter doesn't feel like there's somebody that's different. And maybe everybody's different in different ways, but it doesn't mean they're being excluded because they have an intellectual disability. And that's what means so much to parents, is to see our athletes and unified partners playing together, whereas before it would have been separate. And now to see that, it makes parents feel like they don't have to do as much work either, because they're letting it happen. They don't have to protect them. They don't have to do all this negative stuff, because they know they have a positive place to have an outlet for sports, to feel like somebody that's part of the team. And that's what's so cool about unified sports when it comes to teams, is how many times do any of us, just other people, we see a team like, I want to be part of that, times 100 as well, for so many athletes that just want to feel included, because they are athletes. They train so hard, and they have great nutrition. They have great skills when it comes to fitness and taking care of their bodies, that they deserve to compete. And now we have opportunities for them to be able to compete with their peers.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. Let's dive into, we have the summer games. And so talk about the state summer games, May 19th and 20th at Lipscomb University. We're talking 1,000+ athletes.
This is our biggest event of the year. Every year, it's the culmination basically of the year. A lot of times we're basically on the school schedule, because so many of our programs are school-based. And so this is the culmination of everything for the year. We have 6 different sports that'll be competing at Lipscomb University, and that includes bocce, powerlifting, swimming, tennis, volleyball, track and field is definitely our biggest. And so the biggest thing here is it's a huge opportunity to volunteer. It's a huge opportunity for people that just want to experience what it's like to volunteer at Special Olympics, to come out. To have a huge opening ceremonies at Allen Arena on the 19th in the evening. And we're talking, this is just like you're watching the Olympics. All of our areas, they parade in with their banners and flags, and all the athletes waving to the folks around them and cheering. We have great hype speeches, a great opening ceremony. And then on the 20th is when competition is, and they are competing all day, and it is hard work that they're putting in. And so especially like in powerlifting, these folks are working to set personal bests. They've had these smaller competitions, area, regional competitions, and here at state, they want to beat their personal best. Swimming the same way. Unified volleyball, they're just trying to compete against other teams, and it gets heated. It gets heated as well as track and field, where you have your typical walks, runs, dashes, jumps, javelins, things like that are happening as well. And then bocce, your most inclusive sport. This is where you're seeing so many people from so many different backgrounds being able to compete. People are tailgating out at tents on the field. It's just a great atmosphere as well. If you're wanting to experience something with Special Olympics, this is the event to come and see, because this is an opportunity to see all the hard work that volunteers and athletes put into their sports and to their events. And you see it take over a campus like Lipscomb. It's so awesome to see in person. This is only my first year completing now with Special Olympics, so I jumped right in last year with summer games, and to witness this, it brought so many emotions to me, because you're seeing so many people that this is their culmination, and they're competing so hard, and the emotions out in the field when they're competing and trying their best, it hits you in such a great way that you want to do more for them as well. And that's exactly what we're going to continue to do, is make these experiences better. We're going to offer streaming as well on Facebook. We're going to offer so many things for athletes to feel like that they are professional athletes. So everything that we can do, we need more volunteers for. And so people can volunteer on our website. That's how you can find information for that too, to volunteer. We're more than happy to have you. Just so many different ways for you to make an impact with our athletes.
touch on some of the different ways, and obviously volunteerism plays a very important role in this, but what are the ways that the community can support your efforts year round?
Sure. So there's always different events going on. Throughout the year, we have over 200 events happening across the state. And so, like I said before, with the areas, all those areas have their events. So you think how many different areas there are in each region of Middle Tennessee, East Tennessee, West Tennessee. Then we have our regional events. We have fundraising events that happen that put our folks in the community to the test, like a throwdown, which is a rowing competition that happened at CrossFit gyms to raise money. There's so many different ways that people can get involved. So you can volunteer to be an event volunteer that's setting up and tearing down. Officiating is always needed as well, or people just to track scores, like at bocce, to be a bocce official. There's ways that you can be involved in coaching as well. If you have experience in coaching some of these sports, we're always looking for new coaches. They're always looking for people to just volunteer overall. It could be with fundraising. It could be hosting a fundraiser. It could be just helping all these different aspects, or it could just be participating and coming to cheer on our athletes. Maybe you don't have the time to set aside for 3 hours, but if you can come by for 30 minutes for a competition and just cheer them on, that means so much, is to have people cheering on our athletes, or to hand out medals, to get your group together to hand out medals. There's so many different ways that's not even monetarily involved that people can give their hours and time a day to our athletes. And then obviously there's fundraisers that can happen, and there's donations that can happen as well too. By all means, we're always willing to partner with other companies and other nonprofits to find ways that everybody can be best served to the community as well too. But volunteering, that's the number one way to get involved. And it's just like a lot of sporting events. You go once, you're probably going to be hooked. And I'm so sorry you're going to be hooked, but we'll take you.
Absolutely. We'll wrap up with contact information, website, social media. Where would you direct us to go and get involved?
Absolutely. SpecialOlympicsTN.org is going to be the best way. We have lots of stories on our athletes on there as well, too. So if you're just looking to do some research as well, read these stories on our blog about our athletes and what they've accomplished and where they're going, where they're heading. There's volunteer links. There's ways to find out your local areas on there and those local area Facebook pages. We're all over social media as well. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. So whatever way you consume your social media, we're going to be there. So you can figure that out as well too, especially for corporations and things like that and companies. Look at our LinkedIn. There's lots of opportunities there as well too, with our corporate challenge coming out for you to get your team together to compete as well as support our athletes. So there's so many different ways, whether you're an individual or a group, that you can contribute, and all that information is on our website and all over our social media. We just would love for people to get involved.
Once again, Justin Bradford, Director of Marketing and Communications with Special Olympics Tennessee. Thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. Really appreciate it.